Good morning. We're here from my bed again, and today I'm going to talk about 1917. I had been waiting for this movie to come out for so long. I feel like it was teased forever because first I saw trailers for it constantly and it looked so good. I listened to a movie podcast that talked about it months ago and again sounded so good. I was so interested, and all this time it teased me and it was like coming to theaters everywhere Christmas Day. And then on Christmas Day it came out in like an extremely limited release, and it didn't come out in wide release until yesterday. Long wait, completely worth it, incredible movie. That movie was a completely like suck you in, play with all of your emotions type of movie. It was suspenseful, it was scary, it was emotional, it was beautiful cinematography wise. Like, it was incredible. The movie was also shot as a one-shot type movie. It never left the main character. It followed him through this whole storyline on like one day, but I guess it was actually 2 days. And it was just a really cool way to shoot a movie. I know it's been done before, but it's not something that's done very often, and it was really cool. I cried, I was on the edge of my seat, I was hiding my face because I was scared. It was a great emotional journey. It took a lot out of me. I was crying for 10 minutes after it ended. I like hand wrote a little review this morning and I cried. I teared up a little writing that. But it was such a good movie. I gave it a 9.9 out of 10. Extremely recommend. Very good. Just very, very good. Worth the wait. I mean, I would have liked it sooner, but it was worth the wait. It did not disappoint me at all. So now I'm gonna go into spoilers a little and just go through the plot of the movie. And so if you don't want those, stop watching. Okay, so this movie begins and there's a bunch of soldiers sleeping. They're just laying on the ground, chilling, sleeping. And I guess a general or some sort of officer kicks one awake, says, hey, grab a friend, general needs to speak to you. Guy wakes up, kicks his friend awake, says, hey, we gotta go talk to the general. They don't know what they're going for, they head to the general. They get to the general, he gives them orders, and he's like, hey, we need you to take this letter 9 miles away to this other division, and we need you to tell the colonel to call off this attack they're planning tomorrow morning. The guy that was given this message, they picked him because his brother is at the other camp, so they figured he'd be more invested and he'd like be more determined to get there to save his brother. So now these two guys are sent on this journey alone, just the two of them, travel 9 miles through as far as they know potential enemy territory to get this message across. It seems like a kind of impossible mission. They even say like, excuse me, you're sending me right through German territory, but the guy's like, I don't care, I gotta go, gotta save my brother. So they head out, and like I said, this movie is shot in just one take, so you just follow them completely along their journey. So like, they're having random conversation, you see it, they're calling, you see it, like every step they take, you're watching them. They're doing all of this walking, and the ground is like littered with bodies. There's just dead bodies, decaying bodies, broken apart bodies, and rats all around. It's like really gross and wild to look at. It's just like, ugh, like, but it's very realistic. I'm sure that's what war looks like. At one point they were like crawling into a trench, and one of them loses their balance and like falls into the other, and then he loses his balance, and like trying to stabilize himself, he just puts his hand into like the decaying open stomach of a dead soldier, and it's like, oh my god, absolutely disgusting. They're sneaking across, trying to be quiet because they don't know if the Germans are still at this base they're headed to. They get to the base, they get in, it's completely empty, they're fine. They're walking through it, trying to figure out how to get across, how to get to the most important part. Their forts are much nicer than the British ones. They're crawling through, walking through, and admiring like all the beds, all the nicer stuff they have. They get to this main room, which I think is going to lead them out, and then they come across tripwire. Huge rat comes, and like, it's actually very funny because first you see the rat and the one soldier goes, oh my god, like even their rats are bigger and better than ours. And it's true, but this bigger, better rat triggers the tripwire, place explodes. So there's an explosion, they're inside this fort. The one guy, the guy whose brother it is, he's fine, he backed away enough, but the other guy with him got like buried under rock and the explosion. So he's like digging him out, trying to get out, and then he gets him out, but then everything starts collapsing around them, so they have to like run out, but this guy can't see because he has like dust in his eyes from the explosion. And like, they get him out barely, they use up almost all of their water trying to get his eyes clear, but they're out, he's alive. So they're like continuing to walk now. They get to this abandoned house, and they're walking through the abandoned house, no one there, but they find a cow outside. Start drinking its milk. There was like a bucket of cow milk outside with it, and they start drinking the milk. One guy starts putting milk in his canteen, and then in the background there's like a dog fight. 2 Brits, 1 German. They're shooting up each other's planes. British plane strikes the German plane. The German plane like comes down, comes directly at them. It's an incredibly cool visually scene watching these 2 guys running away from the plane crash. Like, it looks so real. I don't know if it was real. I don't know how you could really shoot that. Like, I think that's gotta be dangerous to actually shoot, but that's what it looked like they were doing. Like, a real plane coming at them. So there's this real plane coming at them on fire because it was just shot down. They're running away. They get away, but they get up to the plane. The plane's on fire, and the German soldier is still in it. These being nice, kind boys, they drag the German soldier out, lay him on the ground. They're going to go get help trying to like stabilize him. And when the one man goes to try and get water to clean him off and get him water, he stabs his friend. The guy whose brother they're looking for gets stabbed by the German soldier. His friend shoots the German soldier. German soldier is dead, but then he has to hold his friend while his friend dies. And it's like, oh my god, like I'm gonna cry thinking about it again. But so the guy's like holding his friend, the guy whose brother that they're looking for. He's sitting there holding him, and he's trying to stop the bleeding, but he was stabbed like right here in the gut, and it's just like something you cannot stop. And he's holding him, and the guy's like, I don't know, like, am I gonna die? I have to get to my brother. I have to go. They try and get him up and try to give him a walk, but he can't. He's in so much pain, so much agony, and he's so sad. And he's sitting there, and he's like talking to his friend, and he's like, you need to get this message. You need to save my brother. You need to get over there. And he's like, but can you please, like, can you write to my mom? Can you tell her I wasn't alone? Like, it was heartbreaking. And my god, I sobbed, and I literally am like tearing up thinking about it again. But so he dies. He takes his jewelry off, he takes his letter out of him, he takes the map he needs, and he's trying to drag the body to a more, like, I don't know, I guess a better place. Then this other troop of British soldiers show up, they help him drag the body, and then they offer him a ride because they're heading in the way that he needs to go. So he gets on with them, starts heading into town. And like, it gets really emotional from this point on. Like, at one point, the truck that they're on gets stuck, and he's like, everyone else is like, man, whatever, like just angry, like making jokes, like, try driving on the road next time. And he's like so emotionally stressed out. He's like, everybody get out, help me push, like we need to push me to go. And the truck keeps going. They get a bit further down the road, and then like the bridge is out, so he's like, well, this is where I get out, I have to go, I have to continue. He goes to cross the bridge by himself. He's getting shot at while he does this by a clear, obvious lone sniper. So he's like dodging shots, trying to shoot at him, and then at one point the shots stop coming back at him, so you think that he gets the guy, but then he goes just to check, goes up to the tower the guy was clearly in, and finds him. He's still alive. They shoot at each other, and then the guy passes out. Like, screen goes black for a while. You think he's dead. He's not dead. He wakes up some undetermined amount of time later, realizes, oh no, time has passed. I need to go. It's dark outside. There's fires everywhere in the background. There's clearly battle going on. And he just starts running towards it, trying to get to where he needs to go. He gets to this town. This town is on fire. There's German soldiers chasing after him, trying to fight him. So he ends up like kicking this, like, not really a door, but kind of like a little entrance to a basement on a house open, and goes into this house to like hide out, keep them off his track, and just not get shot at for a second. And then he gets in this room and he finds this woman that speaks French, and then this baby. It's like this woman and this baby, and the baby's not the woman's, and it's just like an abandoned baby. And he like freaks out, and it's another like extremely emotional moment, because like you realize like this guy is literally a soldier in war, but once he sees a woman and a child in need that are scared, that are terrified, he just like takes off his backpack, starts giving them all the food he possibly has. Like, this baby is too small, it can't eat food though, so like he gives them their canteen of milk, and it's so sad. Him and the lady, like, they don't speak the same language. She speaks French, he speaks English. They're trying to communicate. It's not really working out great. They're getting like the basics, but they're not like having conversation. Then he starts like singing to this baby, and it was rough. It was emotionally a lot, but he helps them as much as he can. He's there for a short period of time, but then like he has to go. Like, he has to get this message, and the woman's even telling him like, stay, like, it's dangerous, they're gonna kill you, like, the sun's coming up, you can't, they're gonna kill you. He's like, but I have to go. The woman had told him the town he was going for was up the river. So he comes out of the house, and of course he's being chased, he's being shot at, he's being attacked by German soldiers, and he just jumps in the river. So then it's like this scene of him just like floating through the river. It's rapidly moving, and it's just pushing him down, pushing him down. He goes down this waterfall. He gets out to the end. He loses his backpack. Like, all he has on him now is just his uniform and what's in his pockets here. He finds this spot where the river's kind of calm, and it's really gross because like there's a lot of dead bodies that are gathered in this area. So like for him to get to the shore, he just kind of had to crawl over and touch so many dead bodies. It was gross. But he gets out, and he can hear this kind of like singing, and at this time this guy is so mentally drained, and I mean, he had been shot in the head, and he's out of it. And you like, the way it's shot, you kind of think like, does he actually hear this singing, or like, is this man going crazy, is this man about to die? But he follows the singing, and he gets to this army camp, and it's a bunch of British soldiers just like listening to this guy. And it turns out that this is the people that he was looking for. This is the group of people that he was looking for, that he was sent to, that he was supposed to give this message to stop them. And he like talks to their general, and and he's like, I need to get to Colonel whatever his name is, Colonel Mackenzie, maybe. He's like, I need to get to Colonel Mackenzie. Where's Colonel Mackenzie? And the guy's like, well, this is the second wave. Colonel Mackenzie's in the first wave. He's already there. They're all in position. They're ready to attack. And he's like, no, I need to stop this attack. So he runs ahead, and he like gets to their base, and he's fighting all of these soldiers in line ready to attack. And he's just like, I need to get here. And generals are trying to stop him. Soldiers are like, what the hell are you doing? And he just needs to get there. There's this scene, it's one of the scenes that's in the trailer, and it's just so visually impressive and cool looking. And like, because he's trying to get through in the fort and just pushing people out of the way, but it's too crowded. There's too many soldiers there because they have multiple lines of people lined up to fight. So he just goes into the field of battle, and like the first wave of soldiers have been released, so they're running this way, and he's running this way because he's trying to get to where the colonel is. And there's just bombs going off in the background. There's shots everywhere. It's war. You see bodies flying. You see smoke and bombs and fire. And he's just so determined, just sprinting, trying to get to the colonel. And finally he gets there. And there's two like generals outside the colonel's office that are like, no, like, you can't get in there. You can't. Like, not letting you. He's like, I need to call off this fight. And they're like, no. And then he like pushes them out of the way, gets to the colonel, and he's like, I need you to stop this fight. I have orders. I need. And the colonel's like, nope, sorry, too late, not doing it. The colonel was also Benedict Cumberbatch, which like, I knew he was in this movie, but I completely forgot he was in this movie. And he's not in it till the very end, and it's such a small role, but it was like, oh my god, Benedict Cumberbatch. But Colonel Mackenzie's like, no, I'm not calling off the battle. They always tell me to call it off. They always say, like, not now, whatever. But he's like, I'm doing it. It's too late. They're already out. And then he's like, no, I need you to read this letter. I need you to read this letter. And then he shows him the letter, and he's like, oh my god, you're right. Because I guess it was like a trap. Like, the Germans wanted the British to believe they were out and this was a good time to attack, but really they just did all of these things in a way that make it look that way, but it wasn't actually a good time, and it was just a trap, and they were all gonna die. 1,600 men were just all gonna die. So Colonel Mackenzie reads this, and he's like, you're right. Oh my god, like, we have to stop this. Sends out the word. Battle is stopped. I mean, a ton of people in the first wave were already injured, shot at, dead, but still he does save a ton of lives because the rest of the attack is just, it's called off. So then the movie kind of ends with him walking around the camp, and he's just trying to find his friend's brother. He asks generals and like, do you know this guy? I think John Blake might be his name. He's like, do you know Blake? Do you know Lieutenant Blake? Do you know where I can find Lieutenant Blake? People are telling him like, oh yeah, like he was in the first wave, and that was the one that was sent out, and so many of them are injured, so many of them are hurt, so many of them are shot at, so many of them are dead. So he like goes up to the hospital area, and he's like, anybody, Blake, anybody. And it's just like, you see the distress on this guy's face as he's running through all these hospital beds to all of these bloody, beaten down, shot at, destroyed, dead people, and he's just like, all I need is to find Blake. And finally he does find him. He's alive, he's well, and he's like, hello, I'm from wherever he was from. And he's like, I was sent here with your brother. And the guy's like, oh my god, my brother, like, where is he? And then he has to tell him that he was dead. And he was like, but he was so good. He always told funny stories. And like, that's where I cried again. He's like, he gives him his rings and his stuff, and he's like, here, this was your brother's. And then he's like, but please, like, can I write to your mom? Because it's the last thing his brother asked. And he's like, yes, absolutely. And you can tell the other guy is like trying so hard not to cry himself, and he's like, just go eat, go get some food, go to the mess tent. And then the movie like ends with, instead of going to the mess tent, this main soldier of the movie just goes and sits by a tree, and he pulls out of his pocket like his pictures that I assume of like his wife and his kids, and he's just sitting there looking at them, and he has such sadness on his face, and he's just, and I cry so much. But it was such a good movie. It was emotional, beautiful, wonderful. I don't think I could ever see it again. It took too much out of me the first time. It would be rough to watch again. But if you get the chance, I highly recommend. I absolutely recommend, and I recommend seeing it in theaters because it's so visually cool that like the biggest screen possible is what you should watch this on. But highly recommend 1917, 9.9 out of 10. Go see it. It's gonna win a lot of Oscars, and it deserves it. It was such a good movie. And now I'm gonna go, you know, just think about it some more, maybe cry a little more.